It is the Royal Blue post-match reaction. We are outside Hill Dickinson Stadium after Everton's 1-1 draw with Lille. I'm Ian Croll, joined by Tony Scott for some immediate match reaction. Tony, first off, enjoyable Saturday 3 p.m. kick-off at Hill Dickinson Stadium?
Yeah, there's not many of them, isn't there?
Got a couple coming up.
Yeah, you got to take them while you can. I thought Everton played well today. It was an enjoyable experience watching Everton on home soil. It was a nice day for it. It was nice to see, as you can see today, a lot of families were here that don't get the opportunity to come during the league season. So while the kids are off, obviously on half term, it was a bit of a nice atmosphere. And I thought Everton played well. I'm sure we'll speak about shortly, but large parts of the game created lots of chances. I'm pretty much sure that the starting lineup would be very identical to the one that starts against Crystal Palace. Give and take Tyler Dibling or Tyree Judge. But apart from that, I think that'll be more or less man for man the team that starts against Crystal Palace. But overall, lots of positives to take from that game.
Just very quickly on the result there, because obviously it means nothing now, it's gone. But Everton were 1-0 up, and then it was 2 minutes of added time, and the referee did play over the allotted time. I know that's allowed, it's a minimum, but
we've been there before.
Slightly disappointing there. Took the kids and everything, and the next minute he goes over the 2 minutes. Lille go on the attack, and they end up scoring in the last minute. Very disappointed, to be honest.
No, as I said, it's I think I made the point during the pre-match podcast that we did. I said, like, they are glorified training sessions, aren't they? And you can see that because so many players came out in the second half. Everton changed the team completely. I think they made 9 changes in the second half. We only seen Merlin Röhl and Aidan Hackney were the only players to fulfil the full 90. But apart from that, obviously there was a lot of changes in the second half. I think that first half performance, a lot of Evertonians will take away that it was a really good performance, created lots of chances. Harrison Armstrong should have put the game to bed, missed an absolute sitter there in front of the south stand. Brennan Johnson should have grabbed a couple as well himself. So in truth, that game should have been put to bed early doors. But listen, while the game's still 1-0 in the balance, anything that can happen, as we found out to our cost last season.
In terms of a couple of individuals then, obviously talking in the grand scheme of pre-season, but obviously it's been finalised there with that game. Tyler Dibling got a start on the right-hand side. Iliman Ndiaye is on the left-hand side. I felt Everton had that kind of balance. I felt like when they were on the counter, Iliman Ndiaye was bringing the ball forward and he was looking to cut inside, and there was a couple of times in the first half there where he crossed the ball from left to right to Tyler Dibling, and then Tyler Dibling was able to cut inside. So I felt Dibling did look quite threatening. Look, I know he didn't get a goal, but I felt like that did bode well for future games.
No, it did, and I was impressed with Tyler Dibling. Obviously being very critical about his performances, and that's mainly due to the work ethic from him. I thought the work ethic was there today. The attitude was there, the application. He was getting stuck in, he was winning tackles, he was pressing, and that's all you want. If things aren't happening for you on the pitch in terms of your passes, at least show a bit of effort, show a bit of bite. And I thought we seen that today, especially in the first half. A couple of chances that obviously repeat rollers towards the goalkeeper, but he looked bright, and that's all you want from him. Second half, he kind of obviously died away in terms of the performance side of it, and obviously he was taken off, and quite a lot of the players were brought on. But something to think about maybe in the first half, that maybe he's worth persevering with in terms of where we're at. Wouldn't say it was a fantastic performance, far from it. It was a 7 out of 10 performance, pretty much a lot better than what we've seen from Tyler Dibling anyway.
Look, he looked like he had a bit more of a cutting edge without being totally clinical. I just felt he had a couple of chances which I felt like, well, that's promising. And playing on the right hand side with Iliman Ndiaye on the left hand side, he's got that balance there. Moving on to Tieno Barry, look, we all kind of lavish praise on him after the Newcastle game. I thought that was one of his best performances of pre-season. Maybe today I felt like he did okay, but maybe the impact as such wasn't there. Has he still done enough in your mind to warrant that starting place against Crystal Palace? Obviously Beto come on, wholesale changes throughout the side doesn't necessarily help the situation, so I can understand why Beto maybe wasn't as clinical and at that cutting edge, and maybe didn't have that rhythm. Tieno Barry looks like he's the one that Moyes is going to pick against Crystal Palace.
100%. I thought Tieno Barry's link-up play was really good. The one-touch layoffs to Dewsbury Hall. I didn't think we supported him as much than what we did against Newcastle.
Yeah, around him, which we said is important.
Exactly, we had Tyree George close to him against Newcastle. Harrison Armstrong was a lot further forward. I didn't think we seen enough of that in the first half. Although we created lots of chances and could have easily gone 2-3-0 ahead by half time, we didn't see enough players close to Thierry Barry. But I thought his hold-up play was really good, his tenacity, his work ethic was really good as well. Promising, a lot different from what we seen last season, where he looked sluggish, lethargic, looked as if he didn't want to know. Now we're seeing a little bit of bite to his game, which is really good to see. I think he's a guaranteed certain starter against Crystal Palace. I really do. We've seen Beto come on with 20 minutes to go and it's labour. I think personally, you look at his body language, I think he knows deep down his days look numbered here at Everton. He's got a year left on his contract. He's playing the last 20 minutes of games in the pre-season. Evertonians know what he's about. He'll work now and again in fits and starts and in patches in games, but overall he's not good enough. He's not going to get better as well. He's 28 years of age. I think I wouldn't be surprised if from now till the end of the window we see a little bit of partner of the ways there, because it just looks as if his demeanour, he knows the writing's on the wall in terms of his Everton career. Where you've seen Thierry Barry, he's putting himself about, he's holding the ball up well. His link-up play I liked as well. It was like, it was going to him, it was one touch of juice ball and he was in. And all of a sudden Everton can get up the pitch if they can keep hold of the ball from a forward perspective. So yeah, a lot promising. Thierry Barry is certain starter for me against Crystal Palace.
I think we've said with Beto as well, if the right, I mean we've said this countless times, if the right offer ever came in for Beto, I don't think the club would hesitate to you know, sell him on.
Yeah. The problem is that
well, he can't come soon enough with Beto, because that's when he usually picks up a bit of form, doesn't he?
Yeah. Is there going to be clubs that from now to the end of the window they're going to be looking at Beto and going, will we pay what Everton are asking for him? I don't know. I really don't know.
Look, this is no not being critical of Beto here, but some clubs might get desperate and might need to.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And you know what? You may get one or two Premier League clubs that have came up, the likes of a Coventry or a Hull, that may lose the first two games of the Premier League and go, right, let's get a little bit desperate. We need goals. If Beto's goals keep us up from now till the end of the season, it could be worth spending £15 million on him. So hopefully there's a club out there desperate, and then we can reinvest and get another centre forward.
In terms of the right back situation, Merlin Röhl played there today. Look, it does look like Everton are going to go into a brand new season without a new recognised right back, which is obviously, it's going to be disappointing if that's the case. We all thought that should be the number one priority. I'm sure the club do think it is still the number one priority, but they obviously haven't been able to get the right player in, probably from their point of view. But like you say, I think we all are a little bit disappointed. We all questioning what is actually going on behind the scenes. Like, what are the recruitment team doing? What is Moyes thinking in terms of who he wants to bring in? There might be a little bit of conflict there. But in terms, I mean, we can talk about that in a sec, but in terms of actually today, Merlin Röhl started there, Nathan Patterson came on. He's the only notable recognised right back at the club. Look, we know the question marks over his quality. You've questioned that countless times, which I think is fair, and that's fine. Moving into the next game and Crystal Palace, I guess Moyes has got three options if we don't bring in this new recognised right back. It's obviously stick with Jake O'Brien, which he's done countless times last season. It's to play Nathan Patterson there, who he clearly doesn't trust.
Did you see them 20 minutes he came on? No, a different team altogether.
Fair enough. I know Röhl, when he came on, when Patterson came on, Röhl got pushed into kind of the midfield, didn't he? I think Röhl looks like the most competent person or competent player to play right back. If I'm going to be totally honest, out of the 11 that started, there was two candidates for man of the match. I thought Harrison Armstrong and Merlin Röhl, and I'm going to give it to Merlin Röhl. I thought he was fantastic in defence and attack. I don't think he was like a 9 out of 10 or anything like that. I think he was more like a 7.5, maybe an 8. But I felt like he put in a good display. So it looks like we're going to have to be content with Merlin Röhl at right back. Well,
we haven't got a recognised right back at the club, have we? Apart from obviously it's just on Nathan Patterson. Quite clearly we've seen him over the years that he's not Premier League level. Jake O'Brien, we've seen last season, plugged the gap for some games, but not overall if you want an advance going forward. What I liked about Merlin Röhl today in the cameos that we've seen of him pre-season is the fact that he's got legs. He's got legs, and there was a time today where the ball was over the top and it was a 50-50. It could have went to the Lille winger or Röhl, and Röhl had the legs to get back. And we've seen so many times last season where O'Brien hasn't got the legs to get back and he's been given fouls away. He was even sent off against Bournemouth towards the end, just dragging someone back because he hasn't got the legs. And I thought today we've seen the difference when you have got legs and you've got a bit of pace about you, you can get yourself out of a hole. Now, Merlin Röhl isn't a recognised right back. He hasn't got the defensive awareness, but he's got legs to get him out of trouble, and it's a big thing in the Premier League because you're coming up against pacey, powerful wingers, the likes of a Doku, a Saka, a Semenyo. The best players in the world are running at you, and if you've got pace to get yourself out of trouble, it's a big godsend. And that's where Jake O'Brien struggled last season when there was a 1v1 direct defender with a bit of pace. So I wouldn't be surprised if Merlin Röhl starts for Everton. Very impressive.
The other thing that he did a couple of times, he was overlapping.
Yeah, that's
overlapping and underlapping as well. Now, and it didn't necessarily lead to anything, but I think there's clear evidence to suggest that that's where Moyes is going to go next week.
100%. I wouldn't be surprised if... I thought Vitaly Mykolenko played well today. I thought he gifted some lovely balls in behind. Defensively, 1v1, really good. I looking at that today, Jarrad Branthwaite starts, James Tarkowski starts because A, he's Everton's captain, and B, he's got experience. And I can't emphasise enough, David Moyes will play James Tarkowski if he's fit every week. Main reason is the experience, captain, and in that back four, when there's a lot of vulnerabilities in there, the Mykolenko we've just touched on, the right back who's not a natural right back, and Jarrad Branthwaite who's great going forward with the ball, but massively injury prone. There's not much experience in Everton's team, let alone back four. Lost to just a guy, lost Seamus Coleman, Jack Grealish has obviously left the club as well. So there's a big gap there in terms of experience. So when the chips are down next season and you're in a bit of a dark place and you haven't got a result or two, that's when your Tarkowski steps up. You need experience in that team. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tarkowski, Branthwaite, Mykolenko and Merlin Röhl make up the back four next week.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my next point, and it was going to maybe just emphasise on Jarrad Branthwaite with his injury problems, as you've touched on. I think we all feared that he was not going to make the start of the season. The club seems to be managing his minutes well over the course of pre-season. Hopefully that is a good sign. There's another substantial amount of minutes that he's had within this game, and I thought he looked good. Look, we predicted, well, I certainly predicted, I'm bigging myself up here, but that would be the centre-back pairing against Crystal Palace 100%. As long as everyone was fit. I bet you Jake O'Brien's feeling a little bit disheartened by it all. Look, I'm sure he'd play anywhere, Jake O'Brien. I know there's been an element of frustration that he's still not forced his way maybe into that centre-back reckoning. He's done a job at right-back. We know that experiment, that should be over now. But yeah, I agree. I think whether it's right or wrong, or whether I agree with what David Moyes is going to do, I think David Moyes will pick Branthwaite and Tarkowski as the centre-back pairing. But in all fairness, based on evidence over the past 2 to 3 years, with the four that we've got, it is our best centre-back pairing. O'Brien and the Branthwaite centre-back pairing, we still haven't seen enough of that to say, well, that's what he should go with. I think that's what we should be working to.
On paper, it looks great. It looks a really good centre-back partnership, but we don't know much about it. And I don't think, while Jarrad Branthwaite's in the side, we're going to see that.
You've got the chemistry, Branthwaite and Tarkowski, they have.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes, like I've said this so many times on so many occasions, the pairing is sometimes better than the individual defender's qualities. 100%.
On paper, as fans, we'll go, Jake O'Brien's the best centre-back, and so is Jarrad Branthwaite. They should be on that. But sometimes it doesn't work like that, football. It's about partnerships, especially at centre-back. Yeah. One sits deep, one can bring out the ball. You can't have two ball-playing defenders, because obviously the lads will get in behind. So I think that's a natural partnership for us as centre-back. But I was impressed with the midfield today. I'm sure we'll touch on it shortly. The likes of a Harrison Armstrong. Listen, you know my thoughts on Harrison Armstrong for a long period of time now. I think the lad's just elite level. I really do. He's head and shoulders in terms of his football and IQ. He's a really good footballer.
He definitely wants to play further forwards. There was times there where he was almost a second striker behind Tierno Barry.
Yeah, I thought Barry played a lovely ball through to him, and obviously Harrison Armstrong should have scored. But just as keeping of the ball, as know-how, he's just a really good footballer. I think he started every single game in the pre-season, hasn't he, for Everton, or played more minutes than anyone in pre-season, which says a lot for how highly rated David Moyes thinks of him. I thought he played well there alongside Aidan Hackney and Dewsbury Bjorn was a little bit off today. Thought he was getting involved, but didn't really have his A game on. Aidan Ackney played really well today, but don't forget as well, you've got the likes of Christian Norgard to come in, who apparently is about 2 weeks away from current fitness.
Say, hopefully.
Yeah. Apparently he's about 2 weeks away from current fitness, if we can get in around the first team. And also you've got James Garner to come back into the side as well. I'll play the year. So we've got really good numbers in that midfield. The only worry you could arguably say is that we haven't got a ball-winning player in there, a tackler, a lad that obviously puts fires out, the likes of a Ndiaye or a Tim Rubenham so far. So they may be issues that we may occur further down the line, but I like the look of the midfield. Mainly, it's got legs and it's got footballers, lads who want to get on the ball and play football. Yeah. Lots of promises.
The sun's beaming down on us now.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
To burn, so we'll finish off.
Yeah.
Look, a week to go now until the start of the season, so everything geared up for that. I guess the hard work starts now, you know, in terms of results, and that's where the pressure starts. Do you think Everton look ready? There's definitely been times over the past couple of years where Everton have certainly looked undercooked from pre-seasons going into the new season, and it's taken them a month, maybe two, to get going. I think there's been times where we maybe haven't even won a game in August. Like if my memory serves me right, and we've struggled. Now I know there's not many games in August. Obviously starts the middle towards the end, but I do feel, especially with Crystal Palace, you don't know the uncertainty over them with their new manager. It would be it'd be very disappointing if we weren't able to go and get 3 points against Crystal Palace, just because, you know, there's still positions that certainly need filling. But on that basis, and certainly from the Newcastle game, we look a bit stronger. So do we look undercooked for you, or do we look ready? It's
difficult to say, isn't it? Because there's an argument to say this time last year when we left the Roma game pre-season and we're looking ahead to the Brighton game ahead the first home game anyway, because obviously we played Leeds away on the opening day. Yeah. I look at it and go, yeah, we had Jack Grealish in the side, we had a Ndiaye, we had obviously Seamus Coleman in and around, lost a few players. The ones we brought in, I like the look of. So I think we've bought players that, I wouldn't say we necessarily lead in positions, but I like the look of them in terms of footballers. I think we're undercooked in areas of the pitch, right back obviously, and a centre forward. I'd like a centre forward in, yeah, and that's goals win your games, Ian, and yet you can only win so many games, 1-0 or 2-1, but on a consistent basis you're going to need a centre forward that will play every single week, which Beto and Barry do, injury free, fair play to them, but the link-up play, and they have to be trying to be clinical. So if you're not scoring 15 goals, 20 goals a season, your link-up play has to be really, really good. And Barry stood out for me, so if he can implement what we've seen so far in pre-season going forward, I'll be up behind that. But you're going to need another centre forward, obviously, because if he breaks down or has a loss of form, then you're in big trouble then, do you know what I mean? So another side note, obviously Everton have been heavily linked with Daniel Munoz, the right back. Apparently he said his farewells to Crystal Palace fans today in a pre-season friendly. He was saying goodbye to them, obviously putting to the badge and waving to the supporters. So that's going to be interesting, because Everton have been heavily linked with the Crystal Palace full back. So that's going to be one to keep an eye on over the next couple of days. So at the moment, as things stand, to answer your question, I think we're going in, I'd say 75% strong in terms of where the squad's at. A centre forward and a full back. I think we're talking now, looking at that team and the performance, it's mid-table-ish, 11th to 9th. I think a right back and a centre forward, all of a sudden we're having conversations about, right, I think we can target Europe next season. So that's a big key difference for me in terms of them two numbers there. Get them in, and I think we can now start having positive podcasts.
Okay, well I think that's my cue to finish off.
Get home now.
Getting shouted at there. So yeah, I mean, look, disappointing there that the Lille scored in the final second of the game, but the result doesn't matter. The main thing is that Everton are prepared for Crystal Palace. We'll have all the preview content ahead of the Crystal Palace game this week. We'll have a Monday show, we'll have a Wednesday show, and we'll have a Friday show. Any final thoughts? I guess, I mean, my player of the match, my man of the match was Merlin Röhl. We agree with that, or just? Yeah,
he was right up there, Merlin Röhl. Work ethic, really good on the ball, going forward, has a shot on target as well, didn't he? But I'm just giving it to Alisson Armstrong. I thought he was really, really good today. And then to look certain starts against Crystal Palace, don't they?
Okay, that has been your post-match Royal Blue podcast, and we'll see you again in the week.